Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. Tonight, take a seat, lay back, take a deep breath as your eyes begin to get heavy, and inhale as we take a look at hypnotism criminals. Hops and Pops Hypnotism Heist. September 11th, 2014. Security camera footage captured video of a hypnotist placing a London liquor store owner in a trance before robbing him. The owner of Hops and Pops, Aftab Haider, 56, was surprised to find out that he had been relieved of several £100s of cash. The CCTV footage reveals an Eastern European man in black bomber jacket who brushed past Haider before gently tapping his arm. Minutes later, the suspect makes a stabbing motion, which places the merchant in a trance. He then went through the owner's pockets and he left the store with the day's earnings. Professional magician Damien O'Brien believes that Haider may have been previously hypnotized by the assailant and implanted with a trigger, allowing for it to be easier to hypnotize him again later on for the robbery. An Ohio divorce lawyer not long ago pled guilty to hypnotizing 6 female clients and having sex with them. Michael Fine's hypnotism scheme came crashing down in 2014 when a victim secretly recorded one of their sessions. Her suspicions had been aroused after having a sense of lost time after one of their meetings. She had at first approached police, who dismissed her idea as nonsense. After they saw her secret recording, though, their feelings changed. In the recording, Fine, 59, put his client into a trance and then begins a highly sexually charged discussion. He can be heard guaranteeing the woman will have a massive orgasm and that she was being made love to by the world's greatest lover. Once the truth came out about him, other victims came forward as well, including one minor. Fine was indicted on multiple counts of rape, kidnapping, sexual battery, and child pornography. Most of the charges were dropped in exchange for a guilty plea. He was sentenced to 12 years. I guess being a lawyer helped this pervert. In Jakarta, police arrested 5 people who had been using hypnosis to rob their victims. According to the police, the thieves would approach lone individuals and ask for directions. At that point, they would hypnotize the victim and convince them to give up their possessions. By the time the trance state wore off, the criminals would be long gone. No one knows the extent of the ill-gotten gains of these mesmerizing criminals. They did later confess to committing at least over 100 thefts. They later received 5 years in prison. In Indonesia, in fact, at the airport, there are signs warning to watch out for hypnotist criminals. In 2015, a British man received a 10-year sentence. He had been using hypnosis to sexually assault clients. Gary Naredo, 52, convinced his 22-year-old victim that he could cure her eating disorder. Upon putting her in a trance, he told the victim she would climax every time Naredo uttered the word kapow. The hypnotized victim was unable to move as Naredo fondled her and placed her hand on his crotch. Once she got home, the victim felt exhausted and confused. Investigators later learned that Naredo had picked up hypnotism from YouTube videos. He'd also searched for hypnotherapy for orgasm and Harry the Horny Hypnotist. Naredo also pled guilty to a separate sexual assault of a 14-year-old girl. His wife has since divorced him, and he's not allowed contact with his 12-year-old son. In 2014, German police went on the hunt for a pair of Russian hypnotists. They were accused of hypnotizing victims before robbing them. According to Sarah Alexeyeva, 66, 2 Russian women approached her in front of an Aldi grocery store in Elmshorn. The pair offered to read her fortune. But the next thing she knew, she was back home in her armchair. All of her valuables and jewelry missing. The victim, who is also Russian, had missing time and no idea what occurred. There have been many crimes like this in Germany, almost all involving foreign women as victims, as they make easier prey. The 2 women hypnotists have not yet been caught. 2013. A British hypnotist was jailed for 18 months after he convinced a client that she was his sexual slave. Timothy Porter, 40, told his victim that he could treat her anxiety and help with weight loss. However, she awoke from a trance to find him with his pants down. He had not quite got her under enough, so she remembered the event. Porter later pled guilty to a count of engaging in sexual activity without consent. Porter had multiple sessions with the victim, and he had turned up uninvited at her house on December 2nd, 2012, when her husband was gone. He kept repeating, "No mind, no will of your own." Then he told her that he was her master, and that she was his sexual slave. He instructed her to expose herself, and he fondled her breasts while he pleasured himself. He later claimed that he misread the situation. And now for a brief commercial break.
From the evil one, deliver me.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death,
At the hour of my death,
call me and bid me to come to thee.
call me and bid me to come to thee.
Give me the compass. If you don't, we'll take her eyes. We'll take your family's eyes. We'll make this whole town blind.
From the evil one, deliver me.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death,
At the hour of my death,
Probably should have come here first.
come to thee.
call me and bid me.
June 2014. Authorities caught the hypnotist bandit. This thief stares directly into the eyes of tellers and hands over a demand note, then refuses to look away. Manuel Jose Hernandez, 28, was caught robbing a bank in Ventura, in a building that houses the FBI offices. After he was handed over $1,700, the teller pushed the silent alarm. Agents then chased down the suspect, so in his case, he didn't quite hypnotize her deeply enough. 2014, a Washington state hypnotist told a woman that she was blind, and once she couldn't see anymore, he then raped her. He later pled not guilty to a charge of indecent liberties. On June 14th, prosecutors alleged that amateur hypnotists put the victim in a trance state. He removed all her senses, except for hearing. When she woke up, she was clothed, but confused. Memories of Geyer sexually assaulting her began to come back, and that's when she alerted authorities. Geyer later apologized via text message after she confronted him. But when police contacted the hypnotist, he admitted to fondling her and expressed remorse. In 2012, Boston police reported that a woman was hypnotized into giving over her life savings to thieves. 3 Cantonese-speaking women approached the 57-year-old victim in the city's Chinatown on April 16th. The criminals began to ask her questions about her family, and the next thing she remembers was filling a bag with $160,000 in jewelry. She also gave them her passport. The victim insists she was put into a trance by the scammers. July 2010. Police discovered a video of a British hypnotist who had been abusing his 19-year-old client. The victim reported Philip Sherwin, 47, after he had told her to remove her top during a session. She had said that she had felt comfortable with Sherwin and had no idea that she was being abused or filmed, as she complied with some of his suggestions. Later on, when the police investigated further, they discovered 40,000 images in his home of child pornography. On top of it all, Sherwin charged over $100 an hour, and his credentials hadn't been more than a 1-week course and a 2-hour seminar. And yet, he managed to hypnotize more victims than we're aware of over many years. He was later sentenced to 18 months. Growing up, I had worked as a circus performer, carnival performer, family magician, and corporate magician since 1989. I've worked with quite a few hypnotists over the years, and I'll tell you, they are capable of some pretty insane things. For all these crimes that have been solved, I'd be willing to bet there's thousands more where the victim doesn't even realize that they had been hypnotized. Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe, as we'll be uploading more regularly.